Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, the show that delves into the reasons we love to choose, wrap, and share gifts with each other. Hi, I'm your host, Eve Kale, founder of Gift Wrapped by Eve, and I'm on a mission to help you experience the joy of gift giving while also considering the planet. Each episode, I'll be sharing ideas or interviewing guests who will help inspire your choice of gifts and how you present them. Whether that's for your own gifts or products you create or sell in your small business, we'll help you consider how to make small changes that can help your gifting be a little greener. Welcome to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast, Lyn. I am really excited to be having this chat with you. We're starting a new year, so it's a great time to be having a conversation about reflecting on gift giving and how we do it. So really excited to have our chat today. So can I start by asking you to introduce yourself to our listeners?
Of course. So I am Lyn Lapworth and my business is Eco for All. So I am a mum of two. I have husband, household, pets, all of things and a business thrown into boot. So the business basically exists to help busy people just make small changes to everyday habits when they're trying to be more eco-friendly. So that's kind of the idea, because we're all busy, we're all overwhelmed, we're all kind of like, oh, it's going to cost me too much money, don't know where to start, don't know which brands to trust. So I have a program for individuals who are just looking to be more eco-friendly and would like to do it in a non-judgmental, safe space with a group of like-minded people. Yeah, that's kind of the nutshell kind of explanation of it, I guess. But I do a bit of public speaking and, eco wellbeing workshops for businesses and all of that sort of thing as well.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you. Thank you for explaining a bit about what you do and how did you get into doing this? How long have you been doing it?
So the business was founded almost 5 years ago off the back of a conversation with another school mum. So her and I were known as the eco mums of the school. We live it. I've lived it for many, many years. But she made a comment about how she was finding it expensive trying to be more eco-friendly. And yes, she was talking about organic food, but that just stuck with me because it wasn't the first time I'd heard it. So knowing I could help and make a difference, I did the thing I never thought I would do and set up my own business. So that's why Eco for All was founded. So yeah, I then just did a little bit of, trying out different things with family and other local school mums, and even my own mum signed up and insisted on paying me. Yeah, so it kind of went from there, really. So probably seriously, I'd say about 3.5 years.
Yeah.
Serious business.
Amazing. Thank you. So you did, like you say, you did the thing you never thought you'd do. You took an idea and you've made it happen.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
yeah,
Doing something, doing something where you're really making a difference as well. So your business is really helping people to make real change.
definitely. I
Yeah.
mean, we know how important it is, don't we? I mean, you as well, we're in the same sort of thought process, very like-minded, but it is quite a big thing to know where to start. And it kind of feels like, oh, I've got to either go vegan or stop flying or can't afford an EV or solar panels, so where do you start?
Yeah.
But it's that whole principle really of that Michael Mosley thing of like the small changes to everyday habits, with your diet, whether it's with your exercise. So I apply that to being more eco-friendly.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we talk about this a lot on podcast about the small changes, the small wins that you can
Yeah.
make. And yeah, it can feel overwhelming. I'm on my own eco journey as well, but I'm realistic, I think, about how you can do things a little bit at a time.
Absolutely, that's so important. In fact, I think really it is the only approach. I genuinely do, because it's such a huge topic,
Yeah.
and there is always that, oh, it's just me, what difference can I make? But the more you kind of join in with other groups and other programs and join groups like People Planet Pint and things like that, the more you realize there are hundreds of millions of people all doing their thing.
Yeah.
Definitely worth it.
So what do you do when people first come and talk to you about an eco journey? Where do you start with them?
Reassurance.
Yeah.
There's the kind of, like I just said, the whole, it's not about perfection, it's about progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
First and foremost, because there is no perfect. It's that old chestnut. We can't go about our days without having some form of impact on the planet. It's about reducing it a little bit by a little bit. And I start with daily habits because that's where you start to kind of get momentum more quickly and feel like you're making more of a difference more quickly. But there are some tiny, tiny little things that you can be doing. Shall I give you one of my examples?
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. Yeah.
So one of my favorites that really seems to resonate is just the act of putting the lid on your saucepan when you're boiling water on the hob.
Oh, okay.
Because if you're putting the lid on, it's going to help the water boil more quickly. So you're going to save a little tiny bit of energy every day. The other thing that you can then be doing is whatever it is you're cooking, set the timer to go off 2 or 3 minutes early because your veg, your rice, your pasta, whatever it might be, will still keep cooking in the boiling water.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So let's say you're saving 5 minutes
Yeah.
a day by
Yeah.
doing that one small change.
Yeah.
That's 24 hours worth of power you're saving over a year.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And do you know, I wasn't expecting that at all. I thought, oh, maybe you might talk about bottle of water or that kind of thing. But that's really amazing. And also just such a good illustration of how you can add up, how it can add up to be a really big impact. And you're
And
not
save
even
money.
save money
Yeah,
and it's something that you can do right now. You don't have to go and buy anything new in order to do it. You don't have to change anything. You just need to stop a little
yeah,
bit earlier. That's amazing. Brilliant.
a
I love
really,
that.
really easy one, but there's so much,
Yeah.
like that, so much of it. I've
Yeah.
got a
Yeah.
whole session around energy saving,
Yeah.
so that's obviously going to save a lot of people a lot
Yeah.
of money.
Yeah. Fantastic. Oh, that's really good. I can really see how these small, when you break it down like that, how it can be more manageable, I think, to start making these changes. And I mean, I've picked one tiny area of life, gifting, um, to try and help people with. Yeah, sometimes you do question yourself. You think, am I really making a difference here? Because I've picked one small thing, but actually, the impact when you look at the statistics of how much we use and potentially waste when it comes to just the wrapping of gifts, not even the actual objects that we're wrapping. I like when I do my talks and I go back to those statistics, I think, actually, yeah, this is a good focus. This is going to make an impact. So I think it's great to be able to break things down like that and see the difference one small action can make. So
Yeah.
yeah, so let's hear a bit about you and your gift giving and how you go about that, Lynn. So obviously at the time of recording, Christmas is in our mind because we've only just packed it away. I'm presuming that you give gifts for Christmas, but tell me about the occasions that you generally give gifts for.
Yeah, I mean, Christmas, I have a 14-year-old and a nearly 10-year-old. So, we're not long out of that kind of crazy excitement where they would be up at, silly hours, kind of going, oh, Santa's been ripping everything, all the
Yeah,
paper off and
yeah.
all of that. But I remember the days, and I'm guilty of it myself, like where we used to post those pictures on Facebook of like, oh, look, Santa's been, and the tree was surrounded by a massive pile of presents. And looking back, I mean, now I'm like, oh my gosh, that's so vulgar, you know?
Yeah,
um, it really is. We've all got caught up in the consumerist kind of chaos, haven't we?
yeah.
Me included. But it's learning from that and kind of really focusing on the idea that every single thing that we've ever bought, that we've ever owned, that's in our house right now, has a footprint of its own.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all come from some material, been transported from somewhere, been manufactured somewhere, and then obviously it's all got to go somewhere at the end of its life as well. And when you start to think of things like that, it really the kind of realization dawns. So we obviously look at as much of as possible of pre-loved gifting. We do a lot of experiences, memory making, that became much more prevalent, I think, after COVID, and we were all kind of stopped from seeing friends and family. So yeah, I think gift, experiences, but supporting small businesses, I'm a huge fan of. So we do a lot of that. There's lots of places where you can find kind of really unique gifts. There's obviously Etsy, and there's another site called Not on Amazon that I'm a big fan of. So there's a few places like that where you can buy from individual sellers. And kind of rule of thumb, I would guess, is the smaller the business, the smaller their own carbon footprint, because they don't have big warehouses and big transportation fleets and
Yeah.
things like that. So yeah, that's how I approach it. Is first of all, how much can I get pre-loved? How much can I just reduce? Yeah. So that's where we approach it. And as far as adults are concerned, we really don't do very much at all.
Okay. So you're not talking, so okay, that's interesting. So you've changed the way that you sort of view your approach to choosing the gift and buying the gifts.
Definitely.
But so also that's interesting. I just want to pick up on what you just said at the end there about when it comes to adults, you don't tend to exchange gifts. Is that just for Christmas or is that for other occasions as well?
We do a little bit for Christmas, only because I like my kids to give gifts. So they don't get anything from me, like my parents and my brother, really, primarily. But I do like my kids to get into the habit of gifting people, not just thinking, oh, it's all about me receiving things. So I do always get a little something for my parents and for my brother from the kids.
Yeah.
But again, it's pre-loved. I'm a big fan of vintage, but again, like I said, a big fan of like local, the Facebook marketplace, bargains that you can find, and supporting local small businesses too. So that's my absolute rule of thumb.
And how have you navigated the change from obviously at the start of the conversation we were just talking about, the big pile of presents under the tree. And how have you navigated those conversations with people? Because for me, I'm going to be really honest with you that it is a challenge that I am still working through because whilst my mindset might have changed or wants to change,
Yeah.
when it comes to choice of gifts, a lot of people that are not aligned with my vision. Yeah. How do you navigate those conversations? Because it can be a tricky situation with friends and family, can't it?
It can. I mean, I was very lucky. So my mum and dad were completely, in fact, without me even knowing, they were picking up tips from what things we do because, like I say, we live it. We've lived it for,
Yeah.
decades, really. So they were already picking up tips and applying them at home. And I've had pictures from my dad of going, oh, our water butt broke. But because they grow veggies in the garden, what we've done, we've cut out holes of the water butt and used it as a planter for strawberries instead. So they've repurposed this broken item that
Yeah.
is, plus. So they've been doing things, which is, I'm so proud of them. They're in their mid to late 70s. So it genuinely shows you that at any age you can make changes. But what I've got coming up is my son's birthday. And he's 10. So there's he wants a big party. And some of the parents are new to me because he's recently changed schools. So this is very pertinent for me. I think what I will probably do is say that he's got a lot of everything. He's got a lot of books because that's another default, isn't it, that people like to do. But maybe that he's saving up for something. So vouchers, and just hint at the fact that we're trying to be a little bit more sustainable and thinking about the planet, just kind of seeing what happens. It's just planting the seed sometimes, you
Yes.
just maybe making people think twice about their choices. It's delicate, but you can't preach to people because that
Yeah.
just does not go down well. So yeah, you can make them curious
I think you're right. If
and
you, yeah,
see
you
where it
can
goes.
you can lead by example, can't you? Like you say,
Absolutely.
hinting at things, you can change. We give a lot of experience gifts,
Hmm.
and well, I mean, I love giving them. I love receiving them. I love the idea that you've then got something to go and do together
Yeah,
after
absolutely.
after the big event. Spreads things out a bit. So many different reasons, not just from an environmental point of view, but when people see you doing something like
Mhm.
that, then it encourages them as well, doesn't it? If they've enjoyed something like that, then it encourages them to pay it forwards. Yeah, watch this space.
Exactly.
I should probably do more updates on how I'm getting on with those conversations, shouldn't I?
It is tricky, but we have to do it. Even like I say, just dropping something into conversation rather than being confrontational about it, because that just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. No.
But it's just too important. It's the biggest issue that we face, our kids face, the younger generation, bar none.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting hearing people's different experiences. And we've had a few guests on the podcast who particularly talked about children's parties
Mhm.
and how it's a generation, we've got an opportunity with the next generation to maybe do things differently. If you start really young, when they start being aware of gifting and receiving gifts, then you can really start to make the difference earlier, can't you? And I feel like my children missed that window in some ways, but I love hearing what Charlotte, for example, from who's done the Kids Party Pact, how she's been getting on and following her story and the feedback that she's got from children as well as the adults involved. I think it's really exciting what she's doing, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it's just being mindful of where those opportunities present themselves, it just looking out for them with educating kids, educating the parents of the kids, whoever it may be, at whatever opportunity. I mean, my two have been brought up with knowing their presents are pre-loved. And at the end of, when they outgrow things, presents, toys, clothes, toys, whatever that might be, they know that they will then get passed on to other people, or, to charity, or sold on, or whatever that might be.
Yeah.
So that is the whole kind of circular system thing. So there's enough stuff on the planet, as we know, that we don't have to fork out for the more expensive option of buying new. The one scary statistic I should probably share is that with clothing, because we know about fast fashion, don't we?
Yeah.
There are currently enough items of clothing on the planet to dress the next 6 generations of
Yeah.
8 billion people.
I'm not surprised to hear that. That is it's absolutely crazy, isn't
It's
it?
obscene. It really is. So why would you buy new? There's so many outlets now. I think the secondhand market is rapidly growing, massively outgrowing the new market. So
Yes.
we've got
Yeah,
to keep that going, keep momentum going.
definitely. Definitely. Yeah, it's definitely my first port of call for something is to have a little look on Vinted now. Um
It's
and
so
yeah.
user friendly, isn't it?
It is. I think it makes pre-loved toys, clothes, whatever, it makes it much easier. Because I think this is the thing, I think making changes has to be easy for me personally. If I
Yep.
if I haven't, if it's going to take me longer, I probably won't stick to it. So Vinted is an example where it's easier for me. I can search, I can favorite things. I don't have to feel like
Exactly.
I'm rummaging. It's also the stigma
Convenient.
of buying secondhand is not there. In fact, it's sort of a badge of honor if you say, I got it from Vinted when somebody,
Yes.
compliments you on it.
This jumper I'm wearing, guess what?
Yeah.
Was from Vinted. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's a mindset thing, isn't it? So yeah,
Yeah.
when it comes to gifting, I'm not quite there yet. But like we've sort of said, once you start to have these conversations, it starts to get easier. Starts.
Definitely. I mean, I like what you just said there about the fact that you can favorite things on Vinted as well, because that's a really good way of kind of getting that little dopamine hit. But you're sort of, we get those kind of those needs, don't we? That it's the people that are like shopaholics. I've got to go and buy something. Well, you don't. You can, rather than impulse buying something that maybe that you're then not going to wear and it's just going to clutter up your wardrobe, you can just favorite something on Vinted, go back and look at it the next day or 2 days later and kind of go, yeah, actually, that isn't my style. I don't know what I was thinking. So you've saved yourself time and space by not doing the impulse buy,
Yeah.
So favoriting things on Vinted is just another win.
Yeah. Oh, that's another good reason for doing it. That's a really
Mm,
good point, actually. Yeah. 'Cause, I mean, even buying secondhand can become addictive, can't it? It really
really?
can. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you need the stuff just because it's secondhand.
No, exactly.
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit like the reduced price aisle is not calorie free. as I frequently tell my husband, just because it's got a yellow sticker on it. So when it comes to doing the wrapping of the gifts, obviously it sounds like you're giving less than you were, but how do you go approach the wrapping of it? Is it something that you enjoy?
To some degree, yeah. I mean, there's the kind of the two approaches because there's the whole make sure there's no kids listening at this point. There's the whole wrapping the Santa presents. They have to be, because I think my son still just about believes they have to be in wrapping paper. So they're in obviously recyclable wrapping paper. I use paper tape. I managed to get some brilliant paper tape from a business that's sadly no longer going, but it has Christmas cracker jokes on the paper tape.
I love that.
Really fun. But yeah, sadly, there's a lady ran a business called Read, Wrap, Recycle, who used to sell sort of newspapers with puzzles on. So you could use the newspaper kind of idea as a wrapping,
Lovely.
and then they could open it out and do the puzzles. But yeah, she stopped the business a year or two back, sadly. But yeah, so it's paper tape, recyclable. So that's no glitter, no metallic kind of finish, all of that sort of thing. So that's for the stockings. And then as far as gifts from family, it's all in reusable as much as possible.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I've used pillowcases, scarves, you name it. You put a nice bow around it, it still looks a bit fancy.
yeah,
So yeah, that's my approach, the furoshiki.
yeah. Yeah, I know it well. It's something that I have um, started doing more of using fabric, and I've collaborated with a few people on
Yeah,
using fabric
it looks
wrapping.
beautiful, doesn't it? When
Does
you
it?
finished, it looks so classy.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And obviously for friends and family, you can pass it back, you can pass it
Exactly.
round again, you can
Yes, be careful
wrap
who
it
you
in a
give it
different
to.
way. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, big fan of using fabric, and I'm also often rescuing wrapping paper and reusing it
Definitely.
for the next year as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's the whole thing, isn't it? Keeping Christmas cards and cutting
Yeah.
out bits of the design on the front for gift tags and yeah,
Yes. Yeah,
lots
there's
of
so
things.
many things that you can do, and you can get creative if you want to, or you can keep it simple, and still have things that look good as well. Do you mind how do you mind how the present looks in the end, or is it for you more just about
Personally,
yeah,
no. I mean, because we're all busy, aren't we? If it's kind of like a special occasion, then I will try and make it look fancy. And, I'm practicing, I'm getting better at the furoshiki. So, slowly it's getting to a point where it does look fancy. But things like books, you put it in the middle of like a kind of square piece of material. You put it on the sort of diamond on the diagonal. You literally just have to grab the opposite corners and tie a knot in the middle, and then grab the other two corners and tie another knot in the middle. And actually, that looks reasonably presentable anyway. So, and it takes seconds. It's so much quicker as well doing it that way. So yeah, I kind of it's a bit hit and miss, but it's much more presentable these days than it was to
yeah.
start with.
Yeah, and I think it's more about it sounds like it's for you, it's more the process of the thought behind the gift than it looking perfect. But you are right about the fabric gift wrapping. You can, because the knots end up looking like a really fancy bow, it's a really nice way of wrapping, and really quick once you have had a couple of practices. So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
totally.
definitely 2026, I'm definitely doing more fabric wrapping. That's definitely something that I'm going to be
Brilliant.
doing more of, which is brilliant. So, do you have any rituals when it comes to doing your wrapping, or is it just fitting it in, getting it done, hopefully?
Yeah, it's well, when you run a bit busy business and when you are, running around in the evenings after two busy kids, it literally is snatching bits of time. So, and because my kids finished school on, I think there's something like the 12th of December, I had to be organized. I think the only ritual, not so much as far as wrapping's concerned, but buying, I start as early as I possibly can to give me that time to source sustainable gifts, pre-loved gifts and things like that. So I guess, in hindsight, what I could do is wrap them as I go along, which would probably help me. But then it's remembering what I've bought. So there is the
There's
There is
so
that
many ways
aspect
you
to
can
it.
do it, aren't there? And that is the challenge with wrapping as you go along is remembering it can lead to overbuying because
Okay.
you forget what you've bought unless you're very organized, you write it all down.
I do have notes on I've got a note, app on my
Yeah, I'm not
phone.
surprised to hear that. Sounds very organized. Yeah, I guess the last minute nature of some, if you're not that organized when it comes to gifts and you're buying last minute, I guess it could go two ways, couldn't it? You could end up doing impulse buying and, buying
Yeah.
things that you don't necessarily want or not from your preferred choice.
Well, this is the thing, and you kind of, yeah. So it's, as part of the program where I help people, there is a whole session again on sustainable gift giving, and it's just to really around trying to avoid that impulse buying because all you're going to do is spend your hard-earned money on something just for the sake of it, and that thing might then not be appreciated and just go and sit in the back of someone's drawer,
Yeah.
and that's not going to help anybody, or just get thrown away, which is obviously worse. you
Yeah.
know, this whole thing that's got its own carbon footprint and you've spent your money on and it's gone to landfill.
Yeah.
It's just no sense there, is there? So e-vouchers are a real kind of fail safe, I suppose, as far as last minute kind of buying's concerned.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose it's a mindset shift, isn't it, into how you go about
Mm.
planning gifting and yeah, being a little bit more organized. But once you've got your kind of go-to list of places that you prefer to shop, I guess it
Yeah.
becomes easier, doesn't it? And do you have things like recommended places to go as part of your
Yes.
program? Yeah.
I do, absolutely. I mean, a lot of it is, I think a lot of the thing that holds people back is the fear of being greenwashed. And I think actually more than we realize, when we stop and actually think about it, we maybe would just not even try because in case we get it wrong and then we've been
Okay.
greenwashed. And that feeling of being greenwashed is not nice. It's not pleasant.
Mm,
So with the gift shopping session, and I've got a whole session around clothing and homeware. In both of those sessions, I look at where you can do your research, what accreditations you can look out for. And actually, in some instances, I just share which brands I like. So some that are B Corp, for instance. So we know about the B Corp accreditation. That is, I think there's something like 2,600 British B Corps. It's a global movement, and there are something like 2,600 British B Corps. So brands like Fat Face, for instance, Clipper Tees, there are so many that are B Corps. So that's a really easy place to start.
that's great
But
tips.
yeah, I do actually offer within the program my kind of personal eco shopper service. So it's that support throughout the duration of the program to help people navigate that bit.
That's really helpful. I think, yeah, there is a fear about getting it wrong, maybe. I suppose we have to let go of the fear and just try things, don't we?
We do. There is always a better decision and there's always a better option.
Yes.
It's, like I say, that's why I guide people because there's the busyness, there's the overwhelm, there's the fear of greenwashing, all of those things. But if you spot something that's recyclable versus non-recyclable, that's an easy one.
Hmm.
If you spot something that is, loose veg over veg in plastic, then that's another easy one. It's kind of we know when we think about it, turning the thermostat down a degree, we know.
Yeah.
Washing on 30, we know. It's there are reasons that they are recommended.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
are so many easy things that we can be doing
And
that's
I
just
suppose
not.
it's getting back to our original sort of starting point, which was that you pick a small win and you go for that small win. Like you say, you can't get it right all of the time, but you can try and make the best option at the time of what you're doing. Have you kind of
Yeah, and I think by going for the small changes to everyday habits approach, that then kind of builds up your confidence because you're getting it right and you're getting it right again. And then you're like, well, what can I do next? And then you're getting that right, and that then builds your confidence. And then you're much more in, a much stronger position. So I've got clients called the program life changing, which for me felt really big, but their whole mindset shifted at the end of the program. So
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
just because that confidence then is
Amazing.
so much more improved.
So people are coming to you because they want to make eco changes, but actually they're getting it sounds like there's lots of other benefits as well.
I'd like
Like,
to think so.
yeah, it does. Well, if it's life changing, then definitely, yeah, the money saving aspect, the confidence,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's actually health improvements as well, because the other thing I deal with in sessions like my cleaning and laundry session is removing toxins from the home. So there are so many hidden toxins that you would not believe. Things like scented candles, anything with something like perfume in, that is basically something called a volatile organic compound. And that can exacerbate allergies, for instance. When you've been painting and decorating, you get that headache from paint. That again is volatile organic compounds. So there's phthalates that we know about, all sorts of hidden toxins that I address as well throughout the program. So there's health benefits from it, plus mental health benefits from it as well, because by taking action, you're reducing your eco-anxiety. That's the only way of really actively reducing your eco-anxiety, is by doing something about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can definitely resonate with that, because that's definitely something that I have
Oh, yes.
experienced myself. And and I didn't realize it was a thing.
Mm.
I was like, oh, that is.
Huge problem. It's a
Yeah,
huge, huge problem. I mean, the younger generation, they're growing up with this on their shoulders. We had that innocence, we had that naivety, didn't we? Our kids don't growing up, they don't have that.
yeah. So I think it sounds like what you're offering is really something really practical that people can get stuck into and feel like their small actions can actually, help themselves to
Yeah.
help other people. I think sounds brilliant. Now, with gift giving in mind, is your program something that people ever gift to somebody else? Have you ever had anybody do that?
Not the program itself. However, I do have a one-off session for expectant parents. So it's the sustainable parenting session. And people have bought vouchers for that, for
Yeah.
expectant. It's like a nice baby shower gift.
Yeah.
But it could be for new parents, but they tend to be quite busy at that point. So I market it for expectant parents. And the ladies that have done that have saved hundreds and hundreds of pounds, because you think about how much of an expensive time that is. Yeah.
It is as well. And also, I think having somebody guide you through it. So my children are 14 and 11. So we're going back quite some time now since I was in that position.
Yeah.
And what I thought I wanted and what I did were different things, because in the end, I went for the easy option, because the default option was just about too overwhelming to
Hmm.
do anything different, or at the time felt like it was against the grain. So to have somebody walking you through how you could do it, that sounds I think that sounds like an amazing gift.
You very much. I like to think so. But yeah, it is. It's such a, when you're a first time parent, particularly, it's like, "Oh, I need all of these things, and that's going to cost a fortune." And then you don't use half of it. And it's like all the baby needs actually nappies, clothes, and you
Yeah,
predominantly, for the
yeah,
first few weeks. So yeah, it is just like, let's strip this all back. Let's see where you can get pre-loved versions of, some things, particularly maternity wear, for instance. But again, all of the things exist already. Picking them up, a lot of people just want to give them away because they want the space back. You're going to save a lot of money.
yeah. Sounds great. I think I don't think I realized quite what a breadth of things that you offered. So
Thank
it's been
you.
great to hear more about them. So where can people, there are two things I want to ask you. First of all, what is your somebody listening to this in January, what is your kind of top tip for where people should start if they want to make a change with how they can be greener with gifting? What's your top tip?
Okay. I mean, as we've discussed Vinted, so open up to Vinted, because there is much more than just clothes on there for a start. I mean, my kids, I've bought desk lamps from Vinted. My son got some Hot Wheels cars, belts, there's all sorts of accessories. So just if you haven't ever looked at buying pre-loved, that is a really, really important and valuable place to start. So it doesn't have to be Vinted. There's obviously eBay, there's obviously charity shops if you prefer, mooching on a Saturday afternoon in your local town. But, Vinted is very, very easy to use. And there's so many really helpful filters in there. So that would probably be, and maybe just set yourself a target of going a month without buying something new to start with.
Yeah.
Something manageable.
Yeah.
Rather than setting yourself up to fail, because that doesn't help anybody.
Yeah. Great. Thank you for sharing that. And then the second thing I was going to say is tell people about where they can come and find you if they would like to know more about what you do and all the things all the services that you offer.
Thank you. Obviously, I've got my own website.
Yeah.
So there's all of the details of my sustainability program, which I call RAMP. So it's Ramp Up Your Sustainability, and the RAMP stands for Realistic, Affordable, Manageable, and Practical. So that I'm talking about a lot at the moment because I have an intake of new groups every March and every October. So with us being in January and lots of people kind of going, new year, new me, I'm going to be greener this year. So yeah, I'm talking about that on my socials. So I am on LinkedIn as Lyn Lapworth, but I'm on Instagram and Facebook as Eco for All with the underscore in between each of the words.
Fantastic.
So you can find me on there as well.
Brilliant. Well, we'll put all of those links, everything in the show notes so that people can come and give you a follow. Lyn shares loads of tips. If you're not ready for a full program, I definitely recommend you follow Lyn for the tips and ideas. You've shared loads of things that really resonated with me.
That's good to hear.
Over the last year, we've got Halloween and Black Friday and all sorts of things. Go and give Lyn a follow, and let's set ourselves a challenge of buying some pre-loved gifts this year. I'm taking the challenge. I'm going to let you know how I get on in a future episode. So
definitely keep me posted too. I'd love to hear.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being my first guest of the year, Lyn, and
It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, I'm sure people are going to really enjoy listening to this episode. So thank you so much.
Well, thanks, Eve.
Thank you for listening to the Greener Gifting Gang podcast. For free resources, head to giftwrappedbyeve.com/freebies and follow Eve on socials at giftwrappedbyeve on Instagram and Facebook.